future of Skyrim! The future of Tamriel!
At the time of recording this, gamers have roamed the land of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim for well over a year. While still releasing new DLCs for Skyrim, Bethesda Softworks have also announced an Elder Scrolls MMO set 1,000 years before the events of Skyrim, and yet rumours persist of an Elder Scrolls 6 set after Skyrim. Now let us for a moment assume that there's some truth to these rumours. What might that hypothetical new game have in store for the land that we know and love? Well, to make at least an educated guess at the future, one must understand the past. So, in this video I'm going to examine the lore of what's happened to the lands of the previous two Elder Scrolls games, and see if we can discern a pattern. Oh, and a spoiler warning, if you haven't played Morrowind, Oblivion, or Skyrim for that matter, or haven't read or heard about the two Elder Scrolls novels written by Gregory Keyes, then this video will spoil those stories for you, so feel free to stop watching right now. The Third Era, year 427. The player character is freed from Imperial imprisonment and released on the island of Vardenfell in Morrowind. He or she visits thriving cities like Balmora, Aldrune and Vivec, probably joins some of the factions fighting for control over the booming island, defends Morrowind and its people from outlaws, necromancers, hostile wildlife, ash monsters and sundry other foes. He probably frees some Argonian or Khajiit slaves, and investigates the cult of the Sixth House, before finally fulfilling his destiny by confronting and killing Dagoth-Ur, the devil of the Dark Elven religion, who is trying to consume the land with a blight disease that makes people go mad and die. In the process, however, the power of the Dark Elven gods is broken, and at least two of the three gods are killed. The player is nevertheless proclaimed the Nerevarine a great hero. Later, slavery is banned by King Helseth, and the Nerevarine goes off to mysterious Akavir and is never heard from again. 200 years later, cities like Aldrune have been devastated by Daedric invaders, Vivec has been destroyed by a moon falling down, and the rest of Vardenfell has been destroyed by volcanic eruptions. The former Argonian slaves have shown their gratitude for being emancipated by promptly exploiting all the devastation to conquer what's left of Morrowind, and the people of Morrowind are mostly reduced to enslaved Argonian subjects or exiled Skyrim refugees. Third Era, year 433, 6 years after the Nerevarine went to Morrowind. The player character is freed from Imperial imprisonment and released into the Imperial province of Cyrodiil. He, she, visits the Imperial city as well as other thriving cities of the Empire's heartlands, defends the Empire from bandits, necromancers, hostile wildlife, demons from the Plane of Oblivion, and sundry other foes. He investigates the cult of the Mythic Dawn before finally fulfilling his destiny by helping the heir to the Empire banish Mehrunes Dagon, the demon prince of destruction, who is trying to consume the land into his hell-like plane of oblivion. In the process, however, the heir dies and the line of emperors is broken. The player is pronounced the champion of Cyrodiil and a great hero. The provinces are largely freed from central imperial control, and the champion goes off to the Shivering Isles, domain of the demon prince of madness, where he ultimately ascends to become the new Mad Prince, or at least that's what he thinks. 200 years later, the Prince of Madness looks much like he always has. The Empire has been ripped apart by war with the elves of Somerset Isle, who have shown their gratitude for being freed of central imperial control by exploiting the Empire's weakness and conquering half of the old Empire. The Imperial city has been devastated by war. The people of the Empire are reduced to scattered refugees and rebels infighting over how to resist their old merry masters. Fourth Era, year 201, 200 years after the Nerevarine went to Morrowind, the player character is freed from Imperial imprisonment and escapes into Skyrim. He, or she, visits thriving cities like Whiterun, Solitude and Windhelm, defends Skyrim from bandits, necromancers, hostile wildlife, dragons and sundry other foes. He probably takes part in the civil war between Stormcloaks and Imperial loyalists, and investigates the return of the dragons. He is proclaimed Dragonborn and a great hero, before finally fulfilling his destiny by confronting and killing Alduin, the evil lord of dragons, who is trying to bring about the end of the world. In the process, however, the Dragonborn probably becomes a vampire lord and quite possibly decides to blot out the sun in order to avoid being weakened by its daylight. And then he goes off to the remote island of Solstheim, and that's about all I know so far. But based on this pattern, what is the likely result for Skyrim in the next Elder Scrolls game? Well, here's my guess. 50 years later, Skyrim has been devastated by civil war, massive crop failure, and hunger caused by seasons that never change, and days on end with no sunlight at all. Contrary to what a few optimistic bards thought, the dragons have not gone away at all, but have instead shown their gratitude for being freed from their overlord Alduin by exploiting the devastation to burn the cities of Whiterun, Solitude, and Windhelm to ashes. Whether Skyrim gains imperial independence or not becomes a moot point, as the people of Skyrim are reduced to exiled refugees or enslaved servants of dragons or vampires. I suppose the next question is, where in Tamriel will this hypothetical Elder Scrolls 6 game be set? Some people have suggested, for example, the Somerset Isle itself, or some people have suggested elsewhere. I don't know, but if they decide to make another game set in Skyrim itself, actually, then I think that game will have an interesting subtitle. I think they might call that game The Elder Scrolls 6 Fallout 4.